Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through the kind of mindset that you should build for you to implement a core banking system, or for you to do a core banking system changeover, which means you're changing over from the old system to the new system. I've been implementing core banking systems for a long time, about 2 decades for now, and I want to share with you this experience so that you become better in your next core banking system changeover or core banking system project. So let's move on. So in this section of the video, we're going to cover cluster number 8, which is training. So training is one of the very important training and change. Training and change, they are the ones which are very important when it comes to implementation of core banking system. So let us go through the mindset that we are going to look into in this particular cluster. So we're going to look at training, not just attendance, also the branch staff, training the champions, also communication, and then readiness. So let's go through them one by one. So the first mindset under training is not attendance. Training is operational readiness. So let me expand on this. Training is very important when it comes to core banking implementation. You want to train people on the new modules, as an example. You want to train people on the new channels, as an example. Even new rules that were introduced as requirements, as an example. So it's not about people attending. It's to check whether people are ready to use the system in terms of skills, in terms of navigation. So it's a very important mindset to have. Training must show operational readiness. So why does it matter? So a staff member can attend every training session and still be unable to perform their job in the new system. Attendance measures presence, but not capability. So that is why it matters. A staff member can attend so many or each and every training, but you find they're still struggling with the system. So what is more important is their capability to use the system than their attendance to training sessions. So what goes wrong if this is ignored? Users, they attend training but cannot serve customers independently on day one. So that is why you should not ignore. You might record your register, attendance register 100%, but when it comes to serving customers on day one, they might fail. Then what is the correct project manager mindset? The goal is to complete, okay, let me take this again. The goal is competent performance, not completed sessions. So this is very important. So what is the purpose of training? You want people to be competent, okay? Not just to be able to complete training sessions. So that's a good mindset. So let us look at a scenario. Training completion is reported at 100% ahead of go live. In the first week live, tailors repeatedly call the help desk because they were never actually able to practice reversing a failed transaction during training. Okay. So this is one of the scenarios. Training was recorded 100%, but the tellers are not able to reverse transaction, which means the knowledge was not properly transferred. There was no competence in terms of how to reverse this transaction. So that is why we're saying this mindset is very important. Don't take training as just attendance. Take it as operational readiness. So what are the practical actions that you can take from here? You need to assess competence through practical tests, not attending registers. So staff assessment is very important. Are they now able to use the system? Do they need additional training? Do they need any workshops just to sensitize them in terms of how the system should operate? Then also you need to certify staff as go live ready, not based on demonstrated ability. They should be go live ready. They should be able to operate the system. Then also you need to remedy any staff who do not pass competence assessment before go live, which means you're going to find some other staff members who are still going to show some challenges in using the new system. Identify them, retrain them, make sure they are operationally ready to go live. Then the second, under training and also change, the second mindset that is very important is branch staff must practice real scenarios not just to watch demos. This day and age, there are temptations to create videos or demo videos for your system. Then you ask people to watch it. But branch staff, they're going to face customers. So they must practice. They must do the actual scenarios they're going to face. So this goes back to how they're going to create their test cases. They must be based on real scenarios. So that they go into the system, they actually capture the transactions, they actually view the output, not just to watch some demos. So why does it matter? Watching a demonstration does not build the muscle memory or confidence needed to handle real scenarios. This is very important. So the moment you do the practice, the moment you train your muscle memory on in terms of what actions you're supposed to do after go live. So what goes wrong if this is ignored? You'll find users they forget classroom concepts when customer pressure starts. I can tell you, the first 6 weeks of going live, there's going to be too much pressure from customers. And if your staff is not trained, they're not going to be able to serve these customers, and they'll end up blaming the project or blaming the core banking implementation process. So you have to make sure that your staff they are trained. They also practice on real scenarios. Then, what is the correct mindset for the project manager? CBS confidence comes from hands-on repetition in terms of realistic workflows. So, what does it mean? The more you repeat something, the more you become confident. So, how do you repeat and being confident? You do so many scenarios, practical, as compared to just watching videos. So, what is the scenario we have here? Branch staff, they watch a trainer demonstrate a standing order cancellation flawlessly on go live day, faced with an actual failed standing order and a frustrated customer. Several customer freeze, okay, because they've never actually performed the steps themselves. So, the branch staff, they saw a trainer demonstrating a standing order cancellation. But on the actual day, when there was an actual failure, standing order that failed, they were frustrated. They were frustrating customers also. That several staff they freeze because they've never actually performed this. So this is the purpose of doing the practice on the real scenarios. All right. So what are the practical actions? You require hands-on practice for real scenarios, not passive demonstrations, which can be done through videos. Number two, you also need to include common exceptions and error scenarios in every practical training session. People should be able to see some of these errors before they see them in production or during go live. Then the third one is use realistic and also mesh samples data in practice session. Okay, so you need to clean the data that you're going to use for practice. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for people to appreciate and understand these real scenarios. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification button so that you're the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. It will help this channel to grow. It will also help this channel to produce more videos like this one. So, number three, let us look at we're now looking at the mindset, number three, under this cluster of training. Change champions, they reduce the resistance before go live. So you might be asking, what are these change champions? So during the implementation of core banking system, it will be very difficult to train everyone in the bank at the same time. So there's a process called train the trainer. So the purpose of this is to train someone who is going to train others. And then you're also going to have these ones also as change champions. They're also going to help others to appreciate and accept that the old way of doing things in the old system has changed and is now being replaced by the new way of doing things. So what I normally do in my projects is to have these change champions for each and every work stream. Say, for example, retail, credit, finance, trade finance, channels, and so on and so forth. So as a mindset, these change champions can reduce the resistance. If the people or the staff they are seeing one of theirs appreciating and accepting that the system is working, it's most likely that they're going to have a buy-in. So why does it matter? A trusted peer advancing, okay, or advocating for the change inside the branch or department reduces the resistance more effectively than instructions from head office. So this is what I was talking about. So it matters a lot. If you see someone either from a department advocating for some change, advocating for system, advocating for processes, then it's easier for you to accept. So what goes wrong if this is ignored? The resistance surfaces late as confusion, rumor, and operational avoidance comes in. Okay, so if you don't use these change champions during core banking implementation or changeover, you're going to find a lot of resistance. I've seen in one project where people they resisted to use the core banking system. They went back to use Excel instead of using the loans module that was being provided by the core banking system. All right. So, what is the correct mindset for the project manager? Project manager is supposed to champions or champions. They carry the message, they support resistance, and also support adoption locally. So champions are going to be able to see that we are facing resistance here, is being accepted here. So they focus on those who are resisting the system to explain to them why they need to use the new system and also to support them where they are having challenges in resisting the new system. So let us look at the scenario. A branch with no assigned change champion shows visibly higher resistance and confusion during a go live week compared to similar branches where respected senior teller was equipped early as a champion before the informal go live person for go live for colleagues. So what does it mean? It means for this branch, there was no change champion in this branch. So there was no one who was advocating for the system. So during the go live week, people started to resist because no one was even explaining to them what are the benefits of having the new system. So that's the scenario that we have. Now, the practical actions that you can take here. You need to select respected, influential staff, okay, as change champions. People will respect and listen to them. You also need to equip champions with with information and materials ahead of their colleagues. So let them have information, familiarize themselves with information and materials, so that by the time they go to their colleagues, they are able to explain a lot of these items. Then use champions as two-way feedback, which means you use them to get information from the users, especially those who are resisting. You can also use them to pass information to the users who are going to be using the system. So let's move on to the next one. So the fourth mindset on change and training is communication must explain impact, not just announce dates. So this is very important mindset. When it comes to core banking implementation, you should be able to communicate why you're changing the system. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult. If you're just communicating that you're going to change the system on this particular day, people start to ask so many questions and you get so much resistance. So explain the impact of changing the system, the benefits, why the bank is going for this. This is very important. So why does it matter? Staff who are only told when change happens without understanding how it affects them or me arrive unprepared and anxious regardless of how much notice they were given. So this is very important. So if you have got staff which is coming in, they don't know how it's going to impact them, then they're going to be very anxious. Okay? So it's very important that you communicate the impact. Let the people know. To some, it's going to be negative impact. To some, it's going to be positive. Negative, maybe something they were doing, it's no longer required, or even the whole department might not be required. But positively, you might find they are becoming more efficient and faster in whatever they're doing. So if this is ignored, what happens? Announcements, they create awareness, but not readiness. You want people to be ready, not just to be aware. So what is the correct mindset for the project manager? People need to know what changes. Okay, they need to know what changes, why it changes, and what is expected of them. You know, change is not easy to be accepted by everyone, but the moment you explain what is changing and why is it changing and how is it going to affect them, most likely people are going to understand why you're bringing in the new system. So let us look at a scenario. An email announces the go live date to all staff 6 weeks in advance. It says nothing about how daily tasks are going to change. On go live day, many staff are still surprised how different their actual workflows, despite having known the date. So, which means the announcement was done, but people were never told what was going to be the benefit. So, it will confuse also staff members. So, what are the action items? You have to ensure every communication explains impact on the audience specific role, not just the date. This is very important. Tailor messaging by audience. If you are sending message to customers, it cannot be the same like the one you sent to staff. If you are sending message to senior management, it cannot be the same like the one that is sent to project team. If you are sending a message to a regulator, it cannot be the same also like the one that is sent to your staff. So this is very important. You need to tailor your message based on the audience. Increase frequency and also specifically as you go live approaches. Normally within 6 weeks of go live, you need to start increasing the frequency of communication and also on the benefits of the project. So the last mindset on this training and change cluster is people readiness is as important as system readiness. So there are so many people involved. We normally call them stakeholders in a project environment. So their involvement is also as important as their readiness is also as important as system readiness. So people are going to use the system. System is not just going to operate on its own. So they must be ready to use the system. Even if it's ready, the system, the people also must be ready. You can also train them. You can also take them through. You can also take them through the change to appreciate what is going to change. So why does it matter? A technical flawless system, okay? Technically flawless system will still fail operationally if people expect to run it are not enough, they are not ready to do so. So what does it mean? If the people who are going to run the system, the core banking system, they are not ready, even if technically the system is ready, they won't be able to serve customers. They don't know where to go. Navigation is confusion. When they see some errors, they don't know what they're doing wrong. Then you find you have so many issues being logged through your help desk. So they must be ready also. So what goes wrong if this mindset is ignored? If you ignore people readiness, if you ignore people readiness mindset, go live becomes a support crisis because users are not confident, and there will be so many issues. I can tell you there will be so many issues coming from the users. So the best is that to make sure they are ready in terms of all they need to use to operate, in terms of information, in terms of training, in terms of navigation, in terms of their roles. That would be very important. So the correct project manager mindset is a stable system can still fail operationally if people are unprepared. Okay, so you have to make sure people are prepared. Then the scenario here, the system passes every technical and functional test. Go live proceeds on schedule. Within days, operational friction from undertrained and unprepared staff creates more customer-facing incidents than any system defect did. So this is a scenario. The system passes all technical and functional tests, and it went live on schedule. But within days, operational friction from undertrained and also unprepared staff is creating more customer-facing incidents than system defects did. Which means you go live and then you are getting more issues than what you were getting during testing. So, what are the practical actions for this? You need to track people readiness metrics. Okay, what are we talking about? Training completion. Was training done? Was it completed? Was it effective? You also need to check their competence. Like what I've seen in other projects, they create a test environment. So this test environment, users are requested probably after hours or when they get some free time to log into that environment, familiarize themselves with their menu, the navigation, and so on and so forth. So that is also used to gauge their competence. If they have issues, they also report back. Then also change readiness. Is the team ready to change? I can tell you it's something very challenging, which I've seen in my projects. When you're changing from old system to new system, there are so many changes that are going to come up from that process. The first one is procedures are going to be different. Probably something they were doing in 10 steps, it's now being done in 3 steps. So that change has to be managed again. In some cases, what they were doing in 2 steps is now being done in 5 steps. It also has to be managed. So that's the first change. The procedures they were doing, you find even navigation, it can also change. And also remember, even the interface, the screens, what they see as users, is also going to change. Probably they were using a Windows-based, now they're using a browser-based interface. So that change is also going to come. So that is very important to also track people readiness. Also include people readiness explicitly in the go live go decision. So as you make the final decision with the project board or steering committee on go live, you must also make sure that people are ready. Not just the people who are in the project, but the people who are going to be using the system, all the staff members. If, say, for example, there are transactions which are coming through some channels, your people should be able to trace the transaction and be able to respond to customer requests or questions in terms of whether this transaction was successful or it was not successful. So it is very important to always check the people readiness before you make the decision to go live. Number 3, practical action is treat a shortfall in people readiness as a serious shortfall in system readiness. So it does not make sense to say the system is ready, and when the people are not ready, then you decide to go live. The people and the system should be ready. Once the two are ready, then it becomes easier. You set up the system, it's ready. You bring in people to operate the system, they are ready. Then they can serve the bank's customers. So this is a very important mindset to consider. People readiness, okay, is as important. People readiness is also as important as system readiness. This is a very important mindset. If you want me to create more videos based on what we have covered in this video, you can reach out to me or you can let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.